meeting, Chairman Jody Arrington says the big, beautiful bill will help the entire nation.
Today, let's make good on the American people's mandate by taking President Trump's America First vision and this America First policy agenda and making them a reality in the lives of our fellow citizens.
The Budget Committee plans to try again on Sunday. The first direct peace talks between Russia and Ukraine since the early weeks of Moscow's 2022 invasion ended on Friday after less than 2 hours with one specific agreement, an exchange of prisoners. Correspondent Charles de Ledesma reports.
Ukraine had accused the Kremlin of introducing new unacceptable demands to withdraw Ukrainian forces from huge swathes of territory. However, Russia and Ukraine did agree in the talks to exchange 1,000 prisoners of war each, the head of Russia's delegation, Vladimir Medinsky, said. After discussions had ended, such an exchange would be their biggest POW swap since the start of the war in 2022. At the talks, Ukraine requested a meeting between heads of state, Medinsky saying Russia will take it under consideration, adding that Russia is ready to continue talks. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
Israel has launched dozens of airstrikes across Gaza, attacks that local health officials say killed 108 people, mostly women and children, and which Israeli officials described as a prelude to a larger campaign to pressure Hamas to release their hostages. On Wall Street, the Dow up by 332 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Some big news. Iran is threatening to wipe Israel off the map and destroy America. Now, UN inspectors say Iran is close to getting nuclear weapons, just weeks away. But President Trump vows he won't let them. He's even moved 2 aircraft carriers to the area. This is a big story, and Newsmax's Rob Finnerty is covering it all this week and exposing the real threat. Tune in at 8 p.m. Eastern tonight for Rob's series Stop Iran and find out Trump's secret plan to fix this. Watch Finnerty on Newsmax on all major cable systems. President Trump says he watches Newsmax all the time. You should too. So download the free Newsmax app on your smartphone and sign up for Newsmax Plus to watch us anytime, anywhere. Millions are making the switch to Newsmax because it's real news for real people.
Here's the Wall Street Business Report.
Stocks close out another strong week on a positive note. The S&P 500 rose 0.7%, its 5th gain in a row, and bringing its gain for the week to 5.3%. It was the 3rd week of solid gains in the last 4. The Dow added 0.8%. The Nasdaq Composite climbed 0.5%. Stocks rallied this week after the U.S. and China agreed on a 90-day pause for most of their punishingly high tariffs, while encouraging reports on inflation have raised hopes that the Federal Reserve can cut interest rates later this year if the economy falters. The Dow was up 332 points to close at 42,654. The Nasdaq gained 98 to 19,211. The S&P 500 added 41 points today to 5958. For the Wall Street Business Report, I'm John Scott.
News and analysis at townhall.com.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's your weekend forecast. Muggy and cloudy overnight with a low dipping to just 74. Tomorrow, early clouds. Nicer as the day moves along. We still hold that 20% chance for a shower. The high tops out at 90. For Sunday, look for 87 as the high with on and off sunshine and again, a 20% chance we get a downpour. Have a great weekend. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, and fireplaces. Spring Sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
This is The Point. Make thepointradio.com.
This is Sports Talk with Phil Kornblut and Chris Bergen. Sports Talk is heard across the state on radio affiliates of the Sports Talk Media Network and is streaming live on SportsTalkSC.com, as well as Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. The South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number to call in is 888-898-2525. That's 888 898-2525. Now, here are Phil and Chris with tonight's edition of Sports Talk.
And what a night it is. Welcome in. Hope you've had a wonderful Friday. Got a great edition of Sports Talk for you. The only thing better than being in South Carolina, listening to us here on Sports Talk, would be to be in New York, where you got Game 6 between the Celtics and the Knicks, and the Subway Series between the Yankees and the Mets. My old hometown is hopping tonight. I can remember as a child walking from Brownsville section over to the Bronx and peering through they had this thing called the Knothole Club, where you peered through the holes in the fence to see the Yankees playing like Harmon Killebrew and the Minnesota Twins in 1967. That was a lot of fun, Bergie.
Sure it was. I'm just thinking, I get your fascination and want to watch the Celtics and Knicks tonight because that game matters. A baseball regular season game midway through May doesn't matter. The Knicks win by 1,000 tonight, or excuse me, the Mets win by 1,000 tonight. It's not going to change the Yankees' fortunes one iota.
No, but it's just an inner city thing. It's the Mets. It's the dreaded, hated Mets. Plus, they have Sosa, and that's going to be his return to Yankee Stadium. Of course, he was only there for a year. It wasn't like he really set up house or anything there in the Bronx. He was just passing through, looking for the biggest deal that he could find. So it's going to be a crazy night because I gotta have one eye on one of those and then the other eye on the other one, and then I got to have a third eye to watch South Carolina and LSU when I head over there. Speaking of, Clemson is taking care of business this afternoon against Pittsburgh. No trouble?
Yes, no hitter needed today. They put this game away in the third inning when they went up 7-0. They lead 11-2. They've just let Pittsburgh hang around so they could play all 9 innings, but otherwise pretty much an easy win for the Tigers today. They didn't need anywhere close to the dominant pitching they got last night. How about that? A combined no-hitter. Started off with Aiden Kanak, who was tremendous with season high 12 strikeouts. May have been a career high for him, 12 strikeouts. I mean, Pittsburgh is a team. Clemson should be doing this too. Yeah. We mentioned that yesterday. They need to sweep this series, and it looks like they are well on their way to doing so, because I can't imagine Pittsburgh's got much left in the tank tomorrow for a Saturday getaway day.
Yeah, they're just playing out the string until they get to the ACC tournament. And and Clemson, of course, the committee, I still think they need to go win a couple of games in the ACC tournament because, if you go by what the D1 people are thinking, Clemson's right there on the bubble to be a regional host. Right. I don't know that sweeping Pittsburgh is going to move the needle all that much with the committee. They'll have 40-plus wins. That'll look good on the resume. They'll have 40-plus wins. So I think really it would behoove them to go and do something in Durham and win at least a couple of games, stay there for a little while. That would really help them, I would think. We'll update all the other baseball. South Carolina LSU coming up, of course, 7:05 or 7 o'clock tonight. A great win for South Carolina last night. You haven't had a lot of those to talk about if you're South Carolina baseball, but tell you what, the guys, they didn't let the rotten season get them down last night. They hung in there with the number 1 ranked team in the country. They weren't facing their best starter from LSU, but they did face their closer, who happens to be a South Carolina kid who went to Blythewood and then to Wofford and transferred from Wofford to LSU. He's been LSU's top closer. He had 5 saves in SEC play going into last night, and South Carolina was able to get to him and rally and win that game in the 9th inning. So that was a very nice win in a season that hasn't been very good for Gamecock baseball, to say the least. And I tell you, the more I listen to Paul Mainieri, the more I watch him, I do like the guy. And I do believe –
hard not to. Yeah, hard not to.
I do believe he knows a lot about baseball. And I do believe that they're going to be an entirely different crew next year. I'll be shocked if they're not an entirely different crew next year. That doesn't mean they're going to run the table and win 25 SEC games, but they should be, I would expect. You can't really sit here and project, to be honest with you, because you don't know what the roster is going to look like. I mean, they got to keep Scobie, and they got to keep Hollins. I mean, those are two young guys that you can certainly build around. And whatever you have to do to keep them in today's world, I think you got to do what it takes to keep them and then fill in the other holes that are necessary. And by all means, go find somebody who can break 95 with a fastball.
Yeah.
Because I don't believe they have anybody who can really regularly touch 95, 96. I mean, I'm watching these teams coming into Columbia like Florida did a couple of weekends. When was that? 3 weekends ago. Now LSU, they just bring in hard thrower after hard thrower. You look up, they got 97 on the board. They got 98 on the board. And
a kid last night touching 100.
Yeah.
For LSU, one of their middle relievers.
Yeah.
You're right. They just, and that's the reason I did not anticipate seeing what we saw last night. But it's amazing what happens when you get quality pitching. And I thought Brandon Stone was outstanding last night, keeping Carolina around long enough for them to do something they have rarely done this year and actually have a break go their way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, as soon as Nathan Hall hit that ball with a runner over at third in the ninth inning after they had tied the game and hit a rocket shot at first and they stabbed it, I thought, yep, that's sort of their season. And then they follow up with a wild pitch, and Mayshore scores the game-winning run. It was a remarkable win for them, considering what they've gone through this year and who they were facing. I mean, LSU, I think, is number one in the country and third in the SEC. So I mean, they've still got a lot for which to play, Phil, because they're not locked into one of the top four seeds in the SEC tournament yet.
Absolutely. So it's a big game for them as well. A lot of baseball going on. We're going to keep you up to date with what's happening. We'll go through the scoreboard here coming up in just a moment. Of course, we got the golf. Let's go ahead and talk about that, because last time I checked, early in their round today, South Carolina at the Women's National Championship out in California, they were not playing well. They are currently 24th, and they are 9 over par as they play holes 9 through 12. So not a good start to this point for the South Carolina women. Currently, they would be, Vanderbilt is your leader in the clubhouse at 6 under par. South Carolina is +9, so the Gamecocks would be 15 shots back at this point. Now they're playing the front 9. They started on the back, and they're playing the front 9, their group is, and not a whole lot of red dots on their scorecard to this point. Not a lot of birdies for the USC women, so a sluggish start for them, but this team is too talented. Maybe tomorrow morning they'll go off earlier tomorrow. Maybe that'll make the difference out there versus being in the afternoon wave today. So they got some work to do. There's no question about it. Once again, it's Vanderbilt leading at 6 under. Oklahoma State is in at 4 under. LSU was on the course at 4 under. Oregon is on the course at 3 under. Arizona State's at 2 under, and Ole Miss is at 2 under. Those are teams that are still on the course. As for the PGA, and MJ will be joining us in just a little bit from Charlotte. Another great day of golf there. You know, when we left the air last night, there were still some people on the course, and Jonathan Vegas was one of those, and he came in at 64. Late yesterday afternoon, early evening to take the first round lead. He's followed up with a 70 today, so he continues to lead at 8 under par. Matthew Pavon is in at 6 under after a 65. Matt Fitzpatrick is on the course at 6 under with 2 holes to go. Max Homa had a big day. He had a 64. So he's in at 5 under along with Alex Smalley, who was on the 18th. And what's wrong?
I just can't. Every time I saw him today, I kept thinking, remember the Saturday Night Live skit with Phil Hartman, and he played Philip Smalley. He was the motivational speaker. Or Stuart Smalley, I'm sorry, was the motivational speaker. That's every time I saw him, that's all I could think of today.
That's great. No, I wasn't aware of that. No, you got one on me there. Anyway, he's at 5 under playing the 18th. Siwoo Kim is 3 holes from the finish line. He's at 5 under par, and that's the top of the leaderboard. Ryan Fox continues to play well. He's in at 4 under par. And checking some others, Scotty Scheffler making a bit of a move now. 2 under today through 14, 4 under for the tournament. Cannot be overlooked. Bryson DeChambeau is 68. He's in at 3 under. John Rahm is on the course. 3 holes to go. 1 under for the day, 2 under for the tournament. Lucas Glover, Mr. Steady, 70 for him. He is 1 under. Brian Campbell is 69. He's in it even. Rory's making a little bit of a move. He's got work to do. He's 3 under today through 14. He's even for the tournament. That puts him in a tie for 49th. Jordan Spieth, a 68, is +2. Justin Thomas, a 72, is +3. Andrew Novak on the course at 4 over. He is +3. Jacob Bridgman, a 73, he's +6. Phil Mickelson, through 16 today, he's even. He's +8 for the tournament. Brooks Koepka is +6 today, +10 for the tournament. And Dustin Johnson will be heading home after a 76, and he is +12. So,
I thought it was interesting last night when MJ was on, Phil, and he started running through some of the guys that we look to as dominant forces in PGA Tour golf, and Dustin was one of them. Phil Mickelson, these guys that we remember in their heyday, and he made a very stern statement about whether or not they should look in the mirror and see if they're going to be competitive anymore. And it's hard to argue that point.
I agree.
At this point in time.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, it really is hard to argue that.
I agree with that. Absolutely. All right, that is what is happening at the PGA. Again, MJ will be joining us here in just a little bit. We'll get more from him about where things stand and what he has witnessed there at Quail Hollow in Charlotte. Recruiting today. We're going to get to recruiting here in just a little bit, but Clemson struck with an offer today from one of the top players in the state coming out of Dorman High School. This was an interesting recruiting battle that goes Clemson's way. Contavion Anderson, safety from Dorman, commits to Clemson. South Carolina was the primary contender there. We'll give you more details when we do recruiting here coming up in just a little bit. And also, tonight, as we try to keep up with everything happening in the world of NIL, we debut as the NIL churns.
Oh, we should have gotten the As the World Turns theme song then.
Well, I suggested that to our erstwhile producer here, but too much work for him to go actually find. This must have been his favorite soap opera back in the day.
And I'll take a little credit for that because I sent it to him yesterday. I didn't realize that you already had a name in mind. We could have gone that route with As the World Turns.
As the NIL churns.
That's great.
I mean, it is a soap opera, the whole thing with,
no doubt.
with the NIL stuff. Before we get into all that and before we hit the break, I want to say something about what I've been saying here recently, maybe this week, maybe even going back. And I have been mistaken. This thing has bothered me since last night because I did some research and realized I've been saying something totally wrong. And I wish somebody had called me out on it. So obviously nobody's paying attention. But I'm totally wrong. And I know I've said it at least once or twice this week, especially when that offensive tackle committed to Miami, and the report was he was going to get $2 million a year for 3 years, $6 million deal. And I was saying that the schools are breaking the rules when they're doing that. But actually they're not. So I have to apologize and say I was wrong. I had forgotten that back in March, the NCAA killed its rule. It wiped the slate clean and said schools can use NIL in the recruiting process. I'd totally forgotten about that. Did you remember that?
I
or you
as well. No,
yeah.
I'm like you, and I still stick to what we were sold, a bill of goods when NIL came out, that it was not going to be paid for play. It was the players were supposed to go out and get their own deals and do everything they wanted to on their own. They were not supposed to get any help from the athletic department. That's what we were told. It never materialized into that, so I'm not surprised it has morphed over to just, the schools writing checks is where we're going to ultimately get to if we're not already there.
Well, obviously, unless you are a lawyer and you have studied this stuff, it's very confusing. I've tried to read as much as I can read, and I've tried to share information on the show to the best of my limited ability, trying to explain it, and in some ways, I think we've hit on some good things and we've been right on some things. But in the last week, maybe last couple of weeks, whenever I have said that the schools are breaking the rules, that the NCAA has said you can't use it for recruiting purposes, I was wrong when I said that. because I was looking back at it last night and I started reading it and I said, oh my gosh, I totally forgot that back on, I think it was March 17th, the NCAA put out an edict to all the schools saying that no longer would they be enforcing any rules about using NIL inducements in recruiting. So it's perfectly legal. So I apologize for being wrong about that. I apologize for criticizing schools and coaches for doing that. You can certainly do that. And now that I know that, I won't make that mistake again. And it doesn't change my opinion on things, but it does, of course, clarify that nobody's breaking any rules when they go and offer a kid $2 million a year for 3 years to come play right tackle. Perfectly legal, according to the NCAA. All right, we'll come back, give you the recruiting report, and much more here on Sports Talk.
When I grew up, I want to be a nurse. I want to be an engineer. I want to be a teacher.
There's never been a better time to start making their dreams come true. Future Scholar, South Carolina's 529 college savings plan, makes it easy to save for their future education. Contributions are tax deductible, earnings are tax free, and you can start saving right now with any amount. Go to futurescholar.com today to discover the smart, easy way to save for college. That's futurescholar.com.
Traveling can be the worst, especially when you can't find your favorite show. Well, don't worry. We've got the perfect way to keep up with everything happening in the Palmetto State when you're away from home. Just pull up the Chief Sports app on your mobile device, and you can listen live to Sports Talk.
All right, welcome in, everybody. Sports Talk Media Network.
So the next time you can't find us on one of our great radio affiliates, just log on to the Chief Sports app, the best way to stay connected with the Sports Talk Media Network.
One lottery ticket makes a big difference for our state students. And when I say big, I mean bigger than jackpot big. Since 2002, South Carolina students have benefited from more than $6 billion in lottery-funded scholarships and grants, including the Life, Hope, and Palmetto Fellow Scholarships. With every lottery play, you're supporting our students, and that adds up in a big way. That's why education is our middle name. Learn more at sceducationlottery.com/betteryou.
Hi, Phil Kornblut here with our good friend George Bryan III, heard every Friday night on Birdies, Bogeys, and Biceps right here on Sports Talk. George, the Tsunami Bar, a very valuable tool for golfers. Why is that?
Well, the first thing that I say is the tempo. It's the only tool out there that allows the study of tension right from the first grab to be expressed, and rhythm and tempo is what makes the bar work, and it gives you something awfully special to keep those hands soft and get that rhythm going.
Learn more about Tsunami Bar technology by clicking on the digital ad on our website, SportsTalkSC.com, and save 5% by purchasing online using the promo code BBB5.
In old New York, and if I can make it there, I'm gonna make it anywhere. It's up to you, New York, New York.
Yeah, remember the night Frank and I sat down and pinned that song, Oh Blue Eyes? That's, of course, for the Yankees, not for the Knicks.
Yes.
That only applies to the Yankees. That song does not leave Yankee Stadium. Don't play that in Madison Square Garden. That's just all in Yankee Stadium. All right, Clemson.
They play it after every game at the Yankees home games, don't they?
They play. Let me think. They do. I'm trying to think. They don't. They play different versions. After a win, they play. After a win, they play his version, and I don't think after a loss, I don't think they play the.
Got you.
They play the same version. I don't think. Listen, I'm never listening after a loss. As soon as they lose, click. So I'm never around listening. All right, let me get to this. Clemson has finished off Pittsburgh 11-2. Tigers win it. Drew Titsworth gets the win. He's 5-1 with that victory. And today for the Tigers offensively, let's see. Crichton goes 3 for 3. Listy went 2 for 5. Peno went 2 for 5. And the Tigers get another win, and they are right at, what does that put them? Does that put them at 40
That's
wins?
their 40th victory.
Yeah.
That's their 40th win. Canarella also was 4 of 5 today.
Yep.
4-4-5.
He's now hitting 323. Purify had a home run for the Tigers. That was the only one for them today. Titsworth went 6 innings, 5 hits, 2 runs, both earned, struck out 4, walked 2. McGovern finished up, got his first save with 3 innings of, looks like, hitless relief. He pitched very well, struck out 3. In fact, I'm just looking here. I don't think he allowed a base runner, did he? Does not look like he allowed a base runner that I can tell. So he had a perfect 3 innings to wrap it up for the Tigers. Elsewhere, South Carolina LSU about to get underway a little bit after 7 o'clock. Looking at the lineup for the Gamecocks, pretty much like last night, Jackson Hall, Kasmer, Jones, Carrion, Hollins, Stone, Scobie, and Braylon with Jake McCoy on the mound, 4-4, 6.71 ERA. Of course, this is another one you want to keep if you can keep him, because he does have potential for your pitching staff. No question about it. He's got potential. 76 strikeouts for him in 55 innings. Facing a guy, Cade Anderson, who is 6-1, 3.66. This is ridiculous. 124 strikeouts, 76 innings, 124 strikeouts. And so if you're a hitter, you might as well take your cuts because you know he's going to be around the plate.
Yeah, exactly. And this is a guy that Paul Venario was talking about earlier in the week and said he remembered recruiting him. I think it's like an 8th grader. Maybe when Venario was still at LSU, gives you an idea of how long that connection goes back, and says he's blossomed into the pitcher he anticipated he would be. And that's going to be a tremendous challenge for Carolina, considering their offense struggled a little bit last night, just getting 6 runs on the board. Going to be really hard to duplicate that against a frontline guy like they'll see tonight.
He's given up 64 hits, but 14 of those hits are home runs. So what does that tell you? That tells you he's around the plate, and if you can catch up with it, you can knock it out of the ballpark if you can catch up with it. You know, this guy obviously throws really, really hard. I'll be interested to see him in person out there a little bit later on. We've got Coastal Carolina blowing out Old Dominion 16-6, top of the 9th. This will be win number what for them, like 43?
43, I think. It'll be their 25th conference win and will clinch the regular season championship in the Sun Belt. Not a bad first year for Kevin Snall and those guys.
Well, you know what he's done? He's set the bar for himself really high.
No doubt.
He has set
You're
the bar.
You're going to have to win 50 games a year moving
really
forward.
High. College of Charleston winning again, leading Hofstra 6-2. That's in the bottom of the 8th. And what do you got on the softball? You've been keeping an eye on that.
I have. Let's see. South Carolina and Elon look like they're going to be in for a long evening at the ballpark. It's already 3-2 Gamecocks in the top of the 2nd. Elon scored a run in the 1st. USC came back with 3 in the bottom of the 1st. Now Elon's added a run in the 2nd. And as the Phoenix bat in the top of the 2nd, it's 3-2 Gamecocks up at Clemson. They are in the 4th inning. Clemson and Upstate tied at 2.
Maybe a little tighter than the home teams were expecting at this point.
Doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt. And Coastal lost to Georgia earlier today, 6-3.
All right.
So I think that's all our teams.
I think so. I think that's it. Okay, one more check on the women on the golf for South Carolina, see if they've made any kind of a movement since the last time we checked. And they're still in 24th. They're at +9. So I don't think anything's changed since the last time. We'll get an update. We'll keep a close watch on that and update as they finish up. They're on the backside now. They're playing holes 10 through 13, and see if they're going to maybe catch a spark here and make a move. So coming up, we'll do recruiting. We've got MJ coming up. We're going to talk about as the NIL churns, and then hour number 2. Rudy will be here touching them all around the state. Jeff Owens on the All-Star Weekend and in NASCAR. And, of course, George will be here. He's been at Charlotte.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's your weekend forecast. Muggy and cloudy overnight with a low dipping to just 74. Tomorrow, early clouds. Nicer as the day moves along. We still hold that 20% chance for a shower. The high tops out at 90. For Sunday, look for 87 as the high with on and off sunshine and again, a 20% chance we get a downpour. Have a great weekend. I'm Cal Moss with your on-point local weather.
If you step out into H&J Cattle's farm, you'll find third-generation farmers upholding the legacy. They embrace sustainability and take immense pride in their craft, raising cattle purely on nature's offerings, without growth hormones, antibiotics, or animal byproducts. The result? Unmatched quality beef that's not just good, it's the best in South Carolina. Experience the distinct flavor of our finest registered Hereford and Wagyu beef. Visit us online at hdjcattle.com or on Instagram and Facebook at H&J Cattle.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. The Supreme Court has rejected the Trump administration's appeal to quickly resume deportations of Venezuelans under an 18th century wartime law. Over 2 dissenting votes, the justices acted Friday on an emergency appeal from lawyers for Venezuelan men who have been accused of being gang members. The administration says that designation makes them eligible for rapid removal from the United States under the Alien Enemies Act of 1798. Conservatives have blocked President Trump's big tax breaks and spending cuts bill. House Republicans failed Friday to push it out of the Budget Committee. 4 GOP conservatives initially voted against it, demanding further cuts to Medicaid and green energy tax breaks. On Wall Street, the Dow by 332 points. More details at srnnews.com.
Hey, it's Kev. I'm hanging out with Ken, the owner of Broker Solar, a local company. Now, Ken, I know you have some solar pet peeves. These national guys, they're just not very honest.
One of the common myths in the solar industry is that you can get solar for free or some kind of government-paid solar, and that's simply not the truth. What you can get is a solid investment that has tax credits that will pay you back for years to come. That's one of the things that we promote at Broker Solar is proper education in what solar is and how you can take advantage of the incentives that are out there, local and federal.
Tell me more about these tax credits.
There's currently a huge federal tax credit that gets you a third of the system cost back. And on top of that, the state of South Carolina, we're lucky enough to have an extra 25% of that solar system cost come back to you in the form of tax credits, totaling for a 55% discount on your solar system back in tax credits.
Call Broker Solar. Call them now, 803-807-7417 or online, brokersolar.com.
Dave Ramsey here. Do you want your money to work for you rather than you working for your money? Go see my friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union. They're not a mega bank and have been serving the Midlands since 1936, offering good old-fashioned customer service and free services. They'll look out for your financial well-being. With 14 locations, check them out today at palmettocitizens.org. Federally insured by the NCUA.
At Palmetto State Armory, we offer the largest selection of guns and ammunition at unbeatable prices. Our knowledgeable and friendly staff are here to provide personalized assistance, ensuring you find exactly what you need. If you enjoy outdoor activities like hunting, camping, or hiking, our clothing and outdoor gear collection has got you covered. We also feature an exceptional indoor range facility where you can experience the thrill of shooting in a safe and controlled environment. Visit us today at PalmettoStateArmory.com or your local retail store. Palmetto State Armory, American made for life.
Escape the hustle and bustle of everyday life with Spa MD, your sanctuary of rejuvenation. Feel the tension melt away as our expert team guides you through your customized wellness journey. From soothing massages to revitalizing treatments, we promise a remarkable experience that leaves you feeling renewed and empowered. Discover the calm within every visit. Reach out at 251-9400 or online at visitspamd.com to explore your options. Your oasis of tranquility awaits.
Can't stand when the next door neighbor has something you'd love? They call that spring envy. You do not want to experience spring envy, do you? At Floor Boys, your neighbors can envy you because you'll get your flooring fixed this spring. With Floor Boys, you can get up to 48 months of 0% financing, interest-free up to 48 months on the finest quality hardwoods, LVP, carpeting, laminate, tile, even area rugs. Don't wait. This incredible deal is only good through June 2nd, and then you'll be back to that wicked case of spring envy. Visit floorboys.com for all the details.
The Sports Talk Recruiting Report is sponsored by Seawell's Catering.
MJ coming up from Charlotte in a moment. Right now, though, time to give it tonight's recruiting report. It's been a busy day in recruiting. It's brought to you by Seawells. Another great day at Seawells for the daily luncheon buffet. It was a roast beef Friday. You know it was S-I-N, sational. It's not sinful to go to Seawells and eat yourself silly, but a lot of fun. That's what it really is, a lot of fun. So make plans next week to get to Seawells. Enjoy a delicious lunch. You might want to bring a sleeping bag with you. You'll be so tired afterward you'll want to take a nap before you go back to work or go back to the rest home, wherever you came from. And do not forget.
Well, are you insinuating that the clientele at Seawells is of the aged?
It's a mix. There's an older group and a youthful group as well. I walk in with the youthful group. And, of course, for the very best in the catering business, none other than Seawells. They are the people to call. They've been doing it for about 80 years, so they know what they're doing, okay? 803-771-7385, SeawellsCateringSC.com. Let them handle all your planning and your execution of your events. Perfect execution. So give Seawells a call, 803-771-7385. So Clemson gets the commitment from the Dorman safety, Kentavian Anderson, 6'2", 185. South Carolina was strongly in the hunt for a while, but after he went to Clemson for the elite retreat, that was pretty much it. I think things started really moving towards Clemson at that point in time. Today's his birthday, so he waited until today to disclose his commitment. He actually had Dabo Swinney on his cell phone to help him announce his commitments to Clemson.
I saw that too. Is that legal? I mean, I know there are no rules anymore.
What's
but
not legal?
I mean, coaches aren't supposed to talk about commitments anymore, right? I mean, that's always been the rule. Has that changed to the point they can jump on the actual commitment itself?
I mean, Dabo. I mean, as far as Dabo, he as far as he could have known, he might have thought he had called his wife and said, "We're going to Clemson." He didn't know he was calling. He didn't know he was calling the kid. It just ended up on his phone, or the kid was calling him. You know, if the kid calls you, I don't know what the rules are.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's all fun and games.
I thought that was foreboding.
Nah,
years ago.
Yeah. So anyway, he really liked Clemson, and from his time there, his multiple visits there, etc., and should be a good fit with that Clemson defense. Good player, good size. And he had Michigan and Virginia, Kentucky, and Indiana on his short list as well. Well, only one official, that'll be Clemson, May 30th. He gives Clemson 15 commitments for the class and is the second for the safety positions, and he's their first in-state. The Tigers had commitments from 11 different states, and now they have one from the state of South Carolina. Meantime, South Carolina offensive line coach Lonnie Teasley recently offered offensive tackle Isaiah Whitehead, 6'5", 315, out of Chesterfield, Virginia. He's in the 2028 class. A few days before offering him, the Gamecocks offered his brother, Chris, who's a defensive end in the 2027 class at 6'5", 210. And both of these guys are going to be heavily recruited. The younger Whitehead also has offers from Florida, Penn State, Maryland, Virginia Tech, Syracuse, NC State, Florida State, Wake Forest, East Carolina, SMU. The South Carolina offer, he said, definitely puts them in his top 5. He is going to go to Tennessee June 1st for a camp. He went to Notre Dame and Ohio State during the spring. Quarterback Landon Duckworth of Jackson, Alabama, this week named a top 5 of South Carolina, Auburn, Florida State, Ole Miss, and North Carolina. Georgia has come off his short list after gaining the commitment from Jared Curtis. Duckworth will now visit Auburn on May 30th, replacing Georgia. He'll follow that with officials to USC, Florida State, and Ole Miss. Clemson target offensive tackle Fletcher Turk of Decula, Georgia, landed offers from Georgia and Florida. He has now set official visits to Georgia Tech May 30th and Clemson June 19th. Georgia coaches were in Thursday to visit with Clemson target linebacker Tyler Atkinson. Offensive tackle Kamari Blair has added Tennessee and Wisconsin to his short list. The earlier four were South Carolina, Florida State, Ole Miss, and Kentucky. More offers from South Carolina going out. Defensive tackle T-Ron Richardson, 6'5", 285 of Hopewell, Virginia, and defensive end Jackson Ford, 6'5", 240 of Phoenixville, Pennsylvania. North Augusta offensive tackle Malcolm Gaston has set an official visit to Ole Miss for June the 4th. That's unofficial to Ole Miss June the 4th. He's also scheduled for officials to Virginia Tech on June the 6th and Georgia on June the 20th. Keep in mind, you got official visits this weekend. Clemson and South Carolina targets heading to various schools as we start to head toward the visitation time of the recruiting process, the primary visitation time, which is now through the next to last weekend in June. That'll do it for recruiting tonight. Be sure to catch it regularly on our website, SportsTalkSC.com, and on X. Go to our X account, which is SC Sports Now, SC Sports Now on X. Be sure to give us a follow and just search for ST Recruiting. That'll take you right to our stories. Since they've done away with hashtags, right? I mean, hashtags aren't a thing anymore for whatever reason. So but I still put ST Recruiting in front of our story so that people can easily search for them. I think that's a wise thing to do. Another wise thing to do is go to Charlotte, to Quail Hollow, and welcome in once again MJ Ward from Golf Today. Today, keeping an eye on round 2 of the PGA. Another beautiful day. Hey, how are you, sir?
It's a pleasure to be with you guys. How are you doing?
Hey, back when you were the sports editor of the Gamecock, in that marijuana-filled boardroom that you guys used to produce.
The dinosaur age, Phil, when we used to send messages by pigeons, that kind of deal, right?
Don't you wish you had run recruiting reports in the Gamecock back then? Imagine what that would have done for your subscriptions.
You know what I will say, though? I mean, among anything else, there's more media now that covers the sports, and there's more critical eyes that are involved, and I can tell you real quick, I don't want to digress here, but I wrote a column one time in the Gamecock, and Jim Carlin gave me a call, and he said, I'd like to see you at the Roost.
Uh-oh.
And
oh boy,
I went down to see him, and as they say in the State Department, we had a frank conversation. It was like, he thought that the student newspaper was like Pravda. It was like we're supposed to just tout the company line, and it was, there was a high expectation of the team with him when he was football coach. But there's more critical eyes now, and I mean that in a good way. Sometimes it's not so good because you're going to have people that are not as informed. But what you guys do, I mean, is an example of that. I mean, you're able to watch. You get the people on the station, and you talk, and you're able to provide commentary. And I think it's a good thing. I think it's really helped a lot for people to understand what the game is about, and not just in golf, but I mean in any one of these sports. And it's really helped. It's really helped move the needle so that fans can better understand, what does go on and what happens. In the time I was in Columbia with the Gamecock, I mean it was a different era, but the sports scene was really just evolving to what has now become really 24/7. Football is constant. It's not just recruiting or the spring game or whatever. I mean, it's a constant thing because SEC football is dominant, and that's something that I think fans really get into whenever it's talked about.
Well, absolutely. Well, listen, obviously things have changed, and with the explosion of the internet and the development of websites and social media and everybody's ability to put out their own opinion, their own information, you can believe it or not. You have to be careful who you believe. And now podcasts exploding everywhere. Seems like if you don't put your opinion out over the radio or on some sort of social media outlet, you've got a podcast to go talk into and put your thoughts out there. So you're right. It's a plethora of people out there offering opinions. But like I like to say, yes, everybody's got an opinion. Some are just more educated than others, so you got to be careful what you believe and who you believe it from. But we believe what you tell us about golf, and boy, what about that late run by Vegas really late last night, I had really kind of concluded that the leaders that we talked about were going to be the leaders.
Yeah, I mean, no pun intended, but Vegas held all the cards yesterday.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
But
Nice.
I have to say, though, I mean, what looked to be a double-digit under par total, it was inexplicable what happened to him on 18. I mean, he played it really smart off the tee with a three metal club. He was in the fairway, and then it wasn't. I mean, it was a poor approach shot into the greenside bunker, but then it just, you think at worst he's going to make a 5, but then he misses a very short putt, and then literally within a very short time frame, what was a multiple shot lead gets reduced by a few shots, and it changes the complexity of the tournament, because there was a gentleman when he's at 10 under par, it puts pressure on the people behind you. He comes back 2 shots. It's almost like getting a shot of boost. It boosts you to believe that, hey, I'm not out of this yet. I can still make a run, and I can still do some things. It'll be interesting to see how he comes back. Just to give you an idea, Phil, the last, I saw this statistic, and just to repeat it, the last guy who led outright after 36 holes that made a double bogey or worse on the final hole of the second round was Rory McIlroy, and he won a congressional at the U.S. Open in 2011. So I'm sure Vegas is hoping that will be the same trick for him, but he opened the door for other people. And that double bogey, now puts a little bit of doubt maybe in his mind that now he's going to have to sleep on that and come back tomorrow.
Well, and you look at who's lurking. Scotty Scheffler is on the move, 3 under today. He's at 5. And then a little bit down the list, Rory McIlroy. I know people are still rooting for him and keeping an eye on him. A good day for him after a bad day yesterday. He's 4 under with 2 to go. He's at -1. And so if he can get in with, say, maybe another birdie or maybe another birdie or 2, look out, things are going to really be picking up tomorrow.
Well, I think Rory had an opportunity to go even further low, and he, to put together a round of a 64 or 5, you have to almost play flawless golf. You can't really let up in any particular way. So, yeah, he did play better, but the deficit of being 3 over, that puts him in a different position. Scotty, on the other hand, was 2 under. He's played really well today. He made a few putts, missed a few that could have been made, but they could all say that. But the reality is the world number 1 player is where he needs to be, or will need to be, I should say. He hasn't finished yet, but will need to be for the final 36 holes. But make no mistake about it, everybody in the field that's ahead of him, they know who he is, and they know he's fully capable of zoning in and playing lights out on the weekend. So yeah, I mean, we finally have some movement now with some key players, but there's also some interesting surprises. I mean, Matthew Fitzpatrick, as an example, I mean, there was a guy who basically disappeared since winning the U.S. Open at the Country Club a few years back. It's good to see him back playing well, and the big surprise story, Max Homa today just played lights out today, and it's good to see him back. He is really a fan favorite in a lot of ways. I know a lot of the media people, myself included, really enjoy talking with Max. He's a very down-to-earth guy, but his game had gone sideways, and it was tremendous to see him shoot what he shot today and get back into the flow of it.
One quick thing before Bergie has a question for you. I'm just noticing here, though, as we're talking on the 17th, you've got Scheffler 3 feet away for his birdie putt. So if he makes that, which I don't know what it looks like, I'm just going off the play-by-play, they've got him 3 feet away for his birdie putt on 17, so that would drop him that would make him, 5 under if he makes this? So, make him – 4 under. He'll go to 4 under if he makes this putt. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Chris. I wanted to get that in there.
No, he actually will go to 5 under, and he made that putt. So he's right now tied for 5th with Max Homa at 5 under par. MJ Ward with us here tonight talking about the...
And I think we lost Mr. Bergen.
He hosted it back in 20...
Oh, there he is.
Oh.
Go ahead. You dropped out for a second.
Sorry. Oh, okay. Did I get the Scotty did make that birdie putt, by the way.
Yeah.
So
and you're right.
He's
500.
-5.
Yeah, go ahead.
But MJ, the last time Charlotte hosted the PGA Championship at Quail Hollow was back in 2017. I believe I heard television correct. The cut line was at +5. It looks like this year the cut line is going to be at just +1.
That's right.
Is the golf course easier than it was, say, 8-9 years ago, or the golfers just better, or is it just golf?
It's something that I've said to you guys, and again, sound like a broken record. The key with golf today is that globally, the game has just become much more competitive, and you're going to see more and more of this in the years to come. The depth of the players today on just about all these circuits, and the age that a lot of these guys are now coming into pro golf. Years ago, a guy would play a full college career. He would take maybe 2-3 years to get acclimated on tour, so maybe he's in his mid-20s. I mean, you have guys now that come out in their late teens, early 20s, and it's just what it is. I mean, it is an extremely competitive marketplace, and like I said yesterday to you, reputations are about yesterday. Legacy is about tomorrow, and these guys are about tomorrow. They're not worried about who they're playing against, because they think that they can win, which is what you're supposed to do when you get on a pro sport, which is, do you believe that you can take it to the highest level? And the people that are going to play tomorrow, especially the people that are going to play with Scotty, they know what's going to happen. It's going to feel totally different, guys. When you get to a Saturday of a major championship, the ratcheting up only intensifies, and then it really goes big time on Sunday. I mean, so anybody who's in and around the lead, they're going to feel it. I mean, Pavon, Max Homa hasn't been around in contention for a while. Certainly Vegas is going to feel it. Matthew Fitzpatrick, yeah, he won the U.S. Open, but, it's been a while. And, for guys like Scotty, he works very hard at his game. Make no mistake about it. It's not just a talent. He works extremely hard at his game, and if he zones in, you better bring your game, because he's not backing down, and he's not afraid of anybody. And that same thing I could say for McIlroy as well. Xander, the same thing, but he didn't play well today. So that's what we have, at Quail. And to answer your question, we're going to see more and more of this kind of competitiveness on the world stage. And I would tell you that, I don't know if there's going to be another Tiger Woods coming up on the scene. That's something that's a once in a 2 or 3 generations to see that. But you are going to see a changing of the guard, and we're seeing that now in pro golf. You're going to see more and more of these younger players start to take on the bigger name players, and hopefully they think that they can supplant them.
Well, we look forward to it. I want to see the stars make a move. I want to see some of the younger guys hang in there and make a name for themselves. We'll see what happens over the weekend. We thank you. Have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, MJ.
Guys, it was a pleasure. Have a great weekend, and enjoy the telecast for the next 2 rounds.
You got it, sir. Thank you very much. That's our buddy MJ Ward from Golf Today from Quail Hollow in Charlotte. Appreciate him being with us as always. All right, 11-2, Clemson final over Pittsburgh. Coastal Carolina final over ODU, 16-7. College of Charleston final over Hofstra by a final of 6-2. Charleston Southern beat Gardner-Webb, 19-4. Be back.
I'm State Treasurer Curtis Loftus. Whether it's becoming a teacher, dentist, or engineer, every child deserves the chance to chase their dreams. Investing in a child's education with Future Scholar, South Carolina's 529 College Savings Plan, can help turn those big dreams into next steps. So don't wait. You can start with any amount. Contributions are tax deductible and earnings grow tax-free. Discover the smart, easy way to save for college at futurescholar.com.
Are you in the market for an auto loan? Move now. Get an auto loan from Founders Federal Credit Union now through October 31st, and you'll be entered to win up to $25,000 toward your qualifying auto loan and a $5,000 deposit into your Loyalty Select account. Loyalty Select is our highest yield savings account. Leave it there to grow or transfer it out to spend. And the best part? we'll be choosing monthly winners. So the earlier you get your auto loan, the more chances you have to win. So don't wait. Visit foundersfcu.com/auto to learn more or begin your auto loan application today. Not a Founders member yet? Visit us online or stop by an office to learn more about Founders and see if you qualify for membership. We have the financial tools you'll need and the personalized service you deserve. Relax, you're with Founders. Terms and conditions apply. Membership qualification required.
There's a lot of things we take for granted in our lives. Your home's AC will run cool. Your drive-through coffee will be hot. And the car will start when it's time to take your kids to school. It's when things don't go as planned that you start thinking about who to call and where to turn. The good thing is, you can prepare for life's most difficult days by calling the Larry Lucas Agency today. Larry is a State Farm agent that has been taking care of people across South Carolina for more than 2 decades. You probably have insurance, but switching is easy, and bundling can save you hundreds or more. Most importantly, the Larry Lucas Agency can help you choose the protection you want at the price you want. All backed by South Carolina's #1 home and auto insurance company. Visit LarryLucasAgency.com today or give Larry a call at 803-799-1998. Like a good neighbor, Larry Lucas State Farm is there.
Okay, we're back. Thanks to MJ for being with us from Charlotte. Coming up after the top of the hour, I aired no Rudy tonight, even though Rudy was available to come on. I forgot we moved Rudy to Monday night. So we'll have Rudy with us on Monday night to kind of recap everything with the baseball weekend. And the baseball games continue around the SEC, ACC, and around the states. Give you some more finals. Virginia Tech, or in progress scores, Virginia Tech leading Virginia 4-2, bottom of 3. NC State over Stanford, 1-0, top of the 4th. Texas A&M over Georgia, 3-0, bottom of the 3rd. It's Duke over Georgia Tech, 5-1, bottom of the 3rd. High Point, 2-0 over Winthrop, top of the 4th. Florida, 1-0 over Alabama, top of the 2nd. In the 3rd inning, Vandy and Kentucky are 4-4. That's it for the games underway there. What about those softball games, Bergie? What you got?
Well, the home teams have opened it up a little bit. Clemson leading USC Upstate now 7-2 in the 5th inning. Meantime, the Gamecocks have stretched out their lead in the bottom of the 3rd. They're up 5-2 on Elon.
Okay, and let's see. Going to Rudy's website, Palmetto State Baseball, makes it very, very easy. As he's watching other games involving state teams. The NCAA Division II Southeast Regional, Lander is leading or has defeated Young Harris 13-8. And Catawba at North Greenville just getting underway in that particular game.
That may be a really good baseball game right there.
Catawba and North Greenville?
Yes.
Yeah, I would say so. Also, a few other news notes. The sad news today that came out this morning that Tim Wallace has passed away, longtime baseball coach in South Carolina. I think primarily at Spartanburg Methodist. He passed away this morning, according to his family, after a 9-month battle with brain cancer.
Wow.
Sorry to hear that news.
No doubt.
Former USC basketball star Larry Davis has been named the new basketball coach at Brooklyn Casey High School. So he's leaving college and coming back to coaching high school ball. And C.A. Johnson High School has hired Rodney Barr to run its football program. He has coached in this area once before, and he's coming back to Columbia. Top of the hour, we'll be back.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, and fireplaces. Spring Sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
News this hour from townhall.com. From Washington, I'm Keith Peters. Get ready for some extreme heat in Texas.
The National Weather Service Office for Austin and San Antonio said the humidity coming in over the weekend is expected to make temperatures hotter. Meteorologist Jason Runyon.
That's also elevating our heat index values, and that can lead to some concerns of heat exhaustion for people that aren't taking proper precautions when they're outdoors, taking breaks and staying hydrated.
Runyon adds that temperatures could drop next week if showers make their way through the hill country. That could bring temperatures closer to what they usually are this time of year. Temps have been in the upper 90s to triple digits, hitting up to 102 degrees. I'm Haya Panjwani.
Salman Rushdie's attacker has been sentenced to prison.
Hadi Matar has received a sentence of 25 years in prison. A jury in February found him guilty of attempted murder and assault for stabbing Rushdie on a lecture stage at the Chautauqua Institute in upstate New York in 2022. During the trial, Rushdie described how he believed he was dying when a masked attacker stabbed him more than a dozen times in the head and body.
I'm pleased with the sentence that was imposed by the judge, quite obviously.
Jason Schmidt is the Chautauqua County District Attorney.
He's traumatized that he has nightmares about what he experienced.
Authorities say Matar was carrying out an edict calling for Rushdie's death when the attack occurred. He also faces a federal trial on terrorism-related charges. I'm Jennifer King.
The Supreme Court has rejected the Trump administration's appeal to quickly resume deportations of Venezuelans under an 18th century wartime law. Over 2 dissenting votes, the justices acted Friday on an emergency appeal from lawyers for Venezuelan men who have been accused of being gang members. On Wall Street, the Dow by 332 points. More at townhall.com.
If you're living with pain, see how Relief Factor can help.
My back got injured very bad. I was off work for about a year. I heard about Relief Factor from my wife. I took it every day, 3 times a day for 3 weeks. Look at her and I said, the pain is gone. And she said, I'm glad it helped. I said, no, you don't understand. It's gone.
Fight pain naturally with Relief Factor. Go to ReliefFactor.com and get your 3-week quick start today. Only $19.95.
Why'd I go to the doctor? One day at the firehouse, I was so lightheaded I could barely stand. Even my crew noticed. Getting checked out was the right call. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit NoTimeToWait.com, sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Administration officials are accusing a former FBI director of calling for violence against President Donald Trump. We hear more on the story from correspondent Donna Warder reporting.
Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem says former FBI Director James Comey is being investigated after posting on Instagram seashells on the beach that appeared to form the numbers 8647 with the comment, "Cool shell formation on my beach walk." Donald Trump is the 47th President of the United States, and 86 has various meanings, including to throw out, get rid of, or refuse service to. Numerous Trump officials say Comey was advocating for Trump's assassination. Noem says the Department of Homeland Security and Secret Service are investigating. The post has since been deleted. Donna Warder, Washington.
News and analysis at townhall.com. From Washington, I'm Keith Peters.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's your weekend forecast. Muggy and cloudy overnight with a low dipping to just 74. Tomorrow, early clouds. Nicer as the day moves along. We still hold that 20% chance for a shower. The high tops out at 90. For Sunday, look for 87 as the high with on and off sunshine and again, a 20% chance we get it down for. Have a great weekend. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, and fireplaces. Spring Sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
This is The Point. Make thepointradio.com.
Welcome back to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. You can reach the guys with the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number, 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now back to Phil and Chris with the second hour of Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network.
Okay, welcome back, everybody. Hour number 2 of Sports Talk on this very busy Friday night. Jeff Owens is coming up in the fast lane at 7:20. George Bryan from Charlotte. Birdies, Bogeys, and Biceps. We'll have Coach Rob Bradley, South Carolina men's coach, joining us as they're going to be in their tournament, the NCAA Championship, next week. A check on the South Carolina women. They've moved up a couple of spots now. They are in 22nd. 8 over par as they play holes 13 through 15, and they are trailing the front runner, which is Vanderbilt, by 14 shots. Long way to go. Probably bounce back tomorrow with a better round. I got to believe that the weather makes a difference out there in the morning, and of course, Coach Bradley can share some thoughts on that with us when he joins us for Birdies, Bogeys, and Biceps at 7:35. Bergie, the Clemson softball game, that's gone final?
It has. They actually ended up run ruling USC Upstate, winning 10-2. I think it was 10-2 is the final. As I refresh, 10-2. They scored 3 runs in the 4th and 5 in the 5th to put it away. Of course, you only need to be up by 8 in softball through 5, and that's the end of the game. So they advance on, I think, get Northwestern tomorrow in the winners bracket.
All right. Citadel baseball, by the way, beat East Tennessee State again, 7-3. So the Bulldogs are going to be formidable. They had a 6-run 6th inning. They're going to be formidable in the Southern Conference tournament because they're playing very good baseball right now. Very good year, first year there for the Citadel and with their new coaching staff. And picking it up here down the stretch, they beat East Tennessee 7-3. That's Coach Triplett, right? Coach Triplett at the Citadel.
Correct.
Doing a terrific job in his first year, turning things around there. And saw this note, which I applauded. This is in Ohio. An Ohio representative presented a bill to prevent Ohio State games from being scheduled at noon. The bill would prevent games from beginning before 3:30 when a state university is involved, except for Michigan, it says here. So, yeah. I mean, I think that's great for a state to take back its schools, for a school to take back control of its football program, its basketball programs, and say, listen, those game times are not good, not conducive to the enjoyment of our fans. And we're not going to play 12 o'clock games in the South in September when it's 110 degrees sitting out there.
I agree with that, but I cannot wait until the athletics director at Ohio State gets that phone call from Fox Sports and says, hey, by the way, we carry your games with, Big High Noon or whatever they call it on Fox, and we pay you gobs of money. You better get your politicians under control over there.
Yeah, I understand that. I mean, I know that the schools are up against it because they need that money more than ever, which takes us to tonight's edition of
As the NIL churns.
I love it.
A daily look at what's happening in the beautiful world of NIL and big money. So, a compilation of notes today in no particular order. These are some things that stood out to me for the NIL churns. First of all, this came out this afternoon. We now have what will likely be the last thing to be read by Judge Wilkin out in California. You know, she's a 75-year-old woman who is making this decision on the House settlement. That's in the hands of a 75-year-old, very nice lady, I'm sure, because she threw this thing back in the face of the attorneys about the roster sizes. So she's got the last thing now, and a decision should be imminent. The NCAA and defendant conferences, their reply in support of the roster limit changes. And I've got the breakdown of what they have given her. So what they have suggested, or what they're saying, is all student athletes on a roster during the current season who were or would have been removed from a roster because of the implementation of roster limits will not count against any school's roster for the duration of their eligibility. All newly incoming athletes who were assured of a roster spot by a school and then told they no longer had a roster spot because of the implementation of roster limits will not count against any school's roster for the duration of their eligibility. Schools participating in the pool structure will be required to prepare lists of the athletes falling in these two groups called designated student athletes in good faith, with copies of the list going to class council. Designated student athletes will not count against roster limits wherever they go if they transfer to another school. And the same athletes will always have the opportunity to return to the school that had them on a roster or assured them of a roster spot regardless of the rules. So that is what they have presented to her to get the final approval. That's what it's come down to.
Could you read that once again? I didn't quite get all of that.
No, sir. I am not repeating. You can look it up. On to other things, in no particular order, as the NIL churns, Louisville's Ali Khalifa has retained attorney Darren Heitner, who's making a ton of money, in his effort to regain eligibility for this coming season. So he is looking for another year. Meantime, at Louisville, athletic director Josh Hurd, H-E-I-R-D, maybe it's hired, I'll say Hurd, said the school will likely pay athletes directly even if Judge Wilkin denies the House versus NCAA settlement. They're just going to pay them directly. Without the settlement, there's no cap and no fair market value analysis intended to strike down deals between the athletes and the NIL collectives. Plus, the settlement does not require schools to pay athletes anything. Did you know that?
I did not.
Yeah. These are little things I'm learning as we move along here. Also, college basketball programs that are estimated to have spent the most NIL money on incoming transfers this offseason. Indiana, $10.1 million. Southern Cal, $9 million. Southern Cal, $9.9 million. Iowa, $9 million. Michigan, $8.9. Kentucky, $8.8. St. John's, $8.4. Baylor, $8.1. Miami, $8.1. Virginia, $7.9. And Texas A&M, $7.6. Now, these are estimates because, of course, none of this is made public, right? Unless somebody wants to put it out there.
Yeah, we assume that the estimates are going to be on the high end, correct? I doubt anybody's underselling this stuff because none of the schools want it to be, if they indeed are spending $13 million, they want it out there they're spending 15, not 10.
Yeah.
But, you ran through that list. Where are Duke and Auburn and Florida and Houston, the teams that actually made it to the Final Four and had really good basketball teams?
Yeah. Not on this particular list.
Mm-hmm.
More information on the new NIL clearinghouse. They're calling this NIL Go, and it's being distributed to the schools, including a 2-page memo that details concepts, much of what has been reported, but now formalized in writing to school administrators. I won't even begin to jump into that. Tennessee now has the most athletic-friendly NIL law in the country. It appears to prohibit all of the House settlement limits on NIL compensation, salary cap, collective restrictions, etc., unless they're part of a federal law, a valid court order, or determined to be exempt from antitrust law. So basically, much of that I don't understand, but basically, Tennessee, their legislature, their state legislature, is saying our schools can do and spend whatever they want, regardless of any restrictions that might come down through this settlement. Several states have passed NIL laws that contradict House settlement terms. Tennessee's law appears to be the most contradictory. There are at least 9 states with laws that permit schools to directly pay athletes right now if they wish. Now, this is interesting, and this has raised some eyebrows. As the NIL churns, per a memo, Deloitte, you've heard of Deloitte, right? That's like the big CPA firm, right? So Deloitte is the organization they're using for the clearinghouse to look at these NIL deals as part of the settlement. If you have a deal supposedly $600 or more, it has to go through the clearinghouse. And Deloitte is handling that. And Deloitte, it says here, estimates the cost of clearinghouse fees to be $5,000 to $500,000 per school. In other words, Deloitte told the conferences our fees could be $5,000 per school or 100 times that. And the conference said, that's helpful, thanks for the estimate. That's what this person wrote. So they could charge up to $500,000 in fees for doing your clearinghouse work. Everybody's getting rich off this deal. Let's see here.
Except the fans.
Yeah, you're gonna pay the freight.
People that matter.
You're gonna pay the freight. This is another little note. It says here a bizarre objection to the House settlement was just filed by a Duke tennis player claiming he was lured to Duke on false promises of NIL. As the NIL churns. That's going to be my throwaway line. And a memo was sent to schools obtained by Front Office Sports that says, this memo gives new details about the NIL clearinghouse. It doesn't actually block deals. Deloitte could charge, as we mentioned, $5,000 to $500,000. Fair market value will include on-field performance. And a source told Front Office Sports, after reading this memo, he said, quote, or she said, quote, either one, I had a good laugh, end quote. Don't really know what that means, but I don't know if they were laughing at the fact that it's going to cost you so much to have Deloitte doing the clearinghouse or what. But those are some things that are keeping the NI world churning as the NIL churns here on Sports Talk, as we try to stay on top of this on a nightly basis, leading up to a settlement, which apparently, once that settlement is approved by the judge out in California, at least 9 states are going to say, screw it, we're doing our own thing. We don't have to pay attention to it. Spend as much as you want to spend, and we have put legislation in that says nobody can harm you for doing so.
Wonderful.
Yeah. Okay.
I got a headache. I think that's going to be my nightly response to as the NIL churns.
As the NIL, can we hear the? We can't hear our thing anymore.
We can.
Let me hear it one more time. As the NIL churns. Mm-hmm. It's a soap opera.
As the NIL churns.
Yeah, it's a little soap opera melody there because that's what this NIL stuff has all become. Just a big old soap opera. All right, we'll be back in a moment.
Major Billy Downer here from the Department of Natural Resources, and DNR is excited to announce the implementation of Go Outdoors SC, a new online licensing and boat titling system that you can access right from your phone. Through this new system, customers can purchase their hunting and fishing licenses, renew their boats, apply for lottery hunt opportunities, and complete electronic harvest reporting requirements. For more information, visit Go Outdoors SC at your local app store.
I'm attorney Jim Corbett. That's the sound of a big hit on you and your car or truck. I've been an attorney for more than 30 years, helping people who get injured in car wrecks and truck wrecks. If you have serious injuries, call Jim Corbett, 803-765-2968, or email me at jim@jimcorbettattorney.com. That's Corbett. I don't get paid unless I recover for you. Jim Corbett Attorney, for your best recovery from a big hit, 803-765-2968, or jim@jimcorbettattorney.com.
You've put in the work for your education. The extra early, extra late, extra work. That's because you understand education opens doors to better pay, better opportunities, and a better you. Being educated about playing the lottery is no different. It helps you be a better player, one who knows when to play and when to take a rain check. The lottery's a game, so let's keep it fun. Learn more at sceducationlottery.com/betteryou.
Love it when it's forward, love it when it's fast, love it when the leader's called, the pack is moving past. Love it when they make you lots and lots of noise, can't wait to hear these W's say. Boogity, 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 let's go racing, boys! Let's go racing, boys. Love it when they're drafting, love it when they slide, love it when the back's straight, the throttle's open wide. Love it when they're making lots and lots of noise, can't wait to hear these W's say. Boogity, 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 let's go racing, boys! Let's go racing.
Nice try there, Plummer. Let's hear that again. Huh? Getting caught up in the moments? All right, it's All-Star Weekend for NASCAR, leading up to, of course, the big weekend, the 600 coming up in Charlotte. Let's welcome in Jeff Owens in the fast lane once again. Share some thoughts with us on this weekend and what happened last weekend and what's coming up. Welcome in, sir. How are you?
Doing great, Phil. How are you this weekend?
We're doing fine. How about Kyle Larson last week and his performance? Dominant, big win for him. Looks very strong right now.
Yeah, he's really on top of his game right now, Phil. I think all of Hendrick Motorsports is, but when Hendrick Motorsports is on top of his game, that gives Kyle Larson, I think, a big advantage. And he's starting to really flex his muscle. He's got 3 wins now, and they've come in dominant fashion. He's looked really, really good, especially on the mile and a half tracks. And we know those are going to play a big factor when we get to the playoffs. So, yeah, he's rolling right now, and I don't expect that to slow down anytime soon. Got Charlotte coming up next weekend. That's a good track for him, too. So I think the Kyle Larson train's going to keep rolling.
Yeah, we talked last week in this segment and looking at some of the numbers, some of the stats, and we said, hey, he does really well on this track. We sort of identified him as the guy to watch. And I guess, the expectations, no pressure on him. He just went out and his team got the job done.
Yeah, and I think anytime you go to a mile and a half track, he's the favorite. I mean, he's got the most wins over the past several years, 6-7 years on mile and a half tracks, and they're just locked in right now. And when they get hooked up like that, they can just sort of let it all go. They don't have to worry about playing fuel mileage or pit strategy or anything like that. They can just go race and put the fastest car out there and let their driver go do his thing. And they got a lot of confidence right now. And this reminds me a whole lot of that 10-win season he had a few years ago when he won his first championship. So, yeah, he's going to be tough to beat the rest of the way, I think.
So we're what, 12 races in, so we're a third of the way through the season. Talking with Josh Harris earlier this week, I think we counted up, 7 different winners so far, so that means 7 are in the playoffs. Do you see, as we move forward here, get past All-Star Weekend, get to Charlotte, can you see some of the guys, some of the big names who are hungry for a win, who haven't had one yet? You see somebody stepping up and kind of breaking through and getting more winners, or are we going to have more drivers make the playoffs via the point system this time around?
Yeah, I think, the last few years, you've had to win. And we've had a lot of surprising winners, and we've had, 14, 15, 16, 17 different winners. I think, Phil, we're going to start to get back now to where your heavy hitters are winning more races. And I think we're starting to see that. You got Larson with 3. You got Christopher Bell with 3. You got Hamlin's got a couple. I think Hendrick Motorsports and Gibbs and Penske and your top teams are It's been about 3 years now, and NASCAR sort of goes in cycles when they put a huge new rules change or something new to the sport, like this new car. It usually takes teams about 2 or 3 years to figure it out. And I think we're starting to get into one of those cycles where your top teams with the most money, the most engineers and all that are starting to figure this car out a little bit and start to put themselves in position to dominate a little bit. So, that could change. I mean, there's going to continue to be upsets, but I just feel like we're going to see fewer winners this year, and I think you're going to see those heavy hitters start to flex their muscle a little bit more, and you might see some guys win, 6, 7 races.
Jeff Owens in the fast lane with us here tonight on Sports Talk, getting ready for the All-Star weekend before the Coke 600. It's not even the Coke 600 anymore, is it, Jeff? What is the new sponsor of the 600 this coming season?
I don't even know, Chris.
I can't remember. It was the Coke 600 for so long. I'll have to check that in a second. I have to check that in a second and see. Larson and Bell, you brought up those two guys right now, have the most wins in the series, each with 3. But Kyle Larson has just dominated stage points as well. Jeff, he's got 8 stage wins, and Bell only has 1. Is that a matter of strategy for those guys at Hendrick Motorsports that they won't also get the stage points? Or has Kyle Larson just been that dominant that he's always around at the end of stages to pick up those points?
Yeah, I think he's just dominant. I mean, he's a guy who's going to run up front every single week, and they know how to put themselves in position to gain stage points, to be up front at the end of each stage. And Bell, you remember, you look back at Christopher Bell's wins. I don't recall exactly all 3 of them, but I do know at least 2 of those races. Those were races where he just showed up at the very end. He was around the front all day, but he didn't lead a lot of laps. He put himself in position and then pounced at the end and won the race. Larson is dominating, and we've seen Denny Hamlin do that a couple of times. When you're that fast and you have that dominant a car, you're going to rack up stage points because you're probably going to win a stage or 2. You're going to lead laps in those stages, and you're going to finish up front. And that's kind of what Larson's doing right now. He's just racking up points and stage wins and all that, and that'll pay off for him at the end of the year when it gets playoff time.
Well, the good news is, Jeff, you were right. It is still the Coke 600, so that's good news. Not all the traditions have gone away in NASCAR, but back to Larson for a second. I'm very cautious to start bringing up names like Jeff Gordon, Jimmy Johnson, certainly Dale Earnhardt Sr., when you start talking about the legends of the sport, Richard Petty, and then try and put anybody who's currently racing. But when history looks back on Kyle Larson, he's 32 right now, so he's probably going to drive for, at least 10 more years, if not longer. Where do you think he's going to be in terms of all-time wins? He's sitting over 30 already. I mean, can he get to can he even challenge Jeff Gordon, do you think?
Well, the shame of it is, Chris, is that, he's a phenomenal talent. And I do think he's in that conversation of Jeff Gordon and Stewart and Jimmy Johnson and those guys. The thing that's going to hamper his numbers a little bit at the end of his career is that he spent 7 years at the beginning of his career with Chip Ganassi Racing.
Yeah.
And they didn't win a lot of races. He won 3 or 4, and then he goes to Hendrick and starts winning. So he got a little bit of a late start in terms of winning races. And then the other thing that, we're going to look back on this, and this is what history's going to tell us, is that, this is also a more competitive era where it's harder to win races. You don't see guys winning 10 races as much as Gordon and Johnson and those guys. You see them win. If you win 3 or 4 now, that's a great year. It used to be 8, 9, 10. So that's going to hurt him a little bit. But, yeah, I think he's going to wind up with 60, 70 wins, and he's going to be right up there with those guys. I think he's going to be in the top 10, and I think he is going to be in that conversation. I think he's going to win more championships, and I want to see how he can do there. But I think he's already up there as one of the, he needs to get that win total, get it on the championship. But in terms of talent, he's already right there with those guys.
Okay, Jeff, I know it was a great event last year being back at North Wilkesboro for the All-Star race. I imagine it'll be a lot of fun And a packed house again this year. Look forward to watching it over the weekend. Talk to you next week going into the big race.
Appreciate it, Jeff.
Okay, guys. Have a good weekend.
Thank you. Jeff Owens in the Fast Lane here on Sports Talk. We got George coming up from Charlotte after the break.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's your weekend forecast. Muggy and cloudy overnight with a low dipping to just 74. Tomorrow, early clouds. Nicer as the day moves along. We still hold that 20% chance for a shower. The high tops out at 90. For Sunday, look for 87 as the high with on and off sunshine and again, a 20% chance we get it down for. Have a great weekend. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
Hey y'all, it's Ted from Flight Deck Restaurant. We're introducing the Wing and a Prayer Wednesday special. Purchase an order of wings and a drink and get a free gift card for the arcade. We have some of the most mouth-watering jumbo wings like flamethrower hot wings, barbecue wings, teriyaki wings, honey mustard wings, terry hot wings. You can get a half dozen for $9.95 or a dozen for $18.95. Served with celery and choice of dressing. So come join us at Flight Deck Restaurant to enjoy some great jumbo wings and lots of fun in our new and improved arcade. And we at Flight Deck Restaurant thank y'all and God bless.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. At least 4 people died and others were hurt after severe storms, including a possible tornado, swept through St. Louis. The storms Friday afternoon tore roofs off some buildings, ripped bricks off of siding, and downed trees and power lines as residents were urged to take cover. St. Louis Mayor Kara Spencer confirmed the deaths. Conservatives have blocked President Trump's big tax breaks and spending cuts bill. House Republicans failed Friday to push it out of the Budget Committee. 4 GOP conservatives initially voted against it, demanding further cuts to Medicaid and green energy tax breaks. The fastest growing city in the U.S. last year was the Dallas suburb of Princeton that saw its population jump by nearly a third. More details at srnnews.com.
Lots of plumbing companies out there. Few are truly local. Time to discover the difference with Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning. See, when I faced plumbing woes at the Cohen home, Josh and his dedicated team, well, they were my go-to solution. They make a commitment to exceptional service. They arrived on time, clearly detailed all the costs and procedures, and efficiently handled all my repairs without any surprises. These days, how often do we complain about a lack of customer service out there? With Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning, these folks are professional. They're courteous. They're skilled at what they do, and they've earned my trust, and they've earned my recommendation to you. From urgent repairs to the tankless water heater you've always wanted, they've got you covered. Visit franklinplumbing.sc.com or call 799-2222. That's 799-2222. Hey, you tell them Kev sent you from The Point. I'm pretty sure you'll want to thank me later.
Is your home freezing in the winter and too hot in the summer? Stop throwing money out the window. At Koala Insulation of the Midlands, we make your home more comfortable and energy efficient with high-quality insulation at an affordable price. Save on energy bills and keep your family comfortable all year round. Call Koala Insulation of the Midlands today for a free, no-obligation evaluation online at koalainsulation.com or call 803-728-6082. Koala Insulation of the Midlands, your local insulation experts.
Discover the seamless blend of comfort and style with Lexington Discount Homes. With over 30 years of excellence in the housing industry, our focus is on delivering your dream home with unparalleled customer service. Explore a variety of designs tailored to meet any preference and budget. Drop by our showroom at 1847 Augusta Highway to witness the craftsmanship of a Lexington home firsthand, or explore online through a comprehensive virtual tour at lexingtondiscounthomes.com. Choose comfort, choose style, choose Lexington Discount Homes.
Hi, it's Mary Catherine
and Thomas from Louisiana Purchase, inviting you to start your day sweet with beignets and coffee from 9 to 11.
Treat yourself to lunch at Louisiana Purchase and find one-of-a-kind gifts you won't see anywhere else.
Stop by Cypress Market for gourmet meats, cheeses, fine wines, and ready-to-go items.
Give your weddings, graduations, holidays, and office parties Southern flair with our catering and custom charcuterie.
Visit Louisiana Purchase, your taste of the South, all in one stop.
LouisianaPurchase.com.
Do you crave growth for your business? That's where The Point comes in. Fran Halloran here. Kevin Cohen and the other local hosts like me have worked to create a space where listeners transform into family. Are you a local business aiming for the stars? You need to get with Kevin and let him help create an individualized blueprint for your growth using the influential stage of the Point Radio. Reach out directly at 563-8558. Teaming with the Point, make this year extraordinary.
4. Straight down the middle. It went straight down the middle. Then it started to hook just a wee bit. And that's when my caddy lost sight of it. That little white pellet has never been found to this day. But it went straight down the middle.
All right. It's a big time for golf around here. We got so much happening on the links with the PGA Championship in Charlotte. South Carolina women. Let's update them really quick as we bring in our guests in just a moment. South Carolina women playing in the first day of the NCAA Championship out in Carlsbad, California. Quick update. They are now 23rd, playing holes 14 through 17. They are 9 over on their round, and that puts them 15 shots back of the leader, Vanderbilt. Again, this is a tournament where you've got 3 rounds of stroke play, and then they decide the top 8 advance to match play, and that's how they decide the ultimate champion. South Carolina's got to get it going here a little bit. Somebody who knows all about these tournaments and getting the players going is Coach Rob Bradley. We'll bring him on in just a moment. Let's bring in George Bryan III, who's been in Charlotte this week, hanging around the good folks at the PGA Championship. He's got thoughts on that and on these college tournaments as well. George, you're on the tee. Welcome in, sir.
Well, what a privilege. What a pleasure. And I've had the chance to go out at Quail Hollow and watch the best in the world. And, wow, it playing tough, but apparently somewhat fair. A little bit of complaining going on, but overall, I love watching. It's easy to see the golf at Quail. Much rather be where I am watching the golf than watching what these guys are going through. But weather's been so far just perfect, and it looks like it's going to be pretty good this weekend.
Well, Siwoo Kim just got a hole-in-one not too long ago. He moves up to tie for second, 64. He's in at 6. Matt Fitzpatrick, 68. He's tied for second. He's in at 6. Matthew Pavon, a 65. He's at 6. They're all chasing Jonathan Vegas, a 70. I think MJ told us he took a double bogey at the last, or he would have had a bigger lead. So he's at 8 under. George, do you think? And Scotty Scheffler's in at 68. He's at 5 under. Do you expect the number to move very much more tomorrow? Is this thing are they gonna take it even lower? Are we kind of about where we're gonna be here over the next 2 rounds? And you're thinking about, I mean, if you're there at 8 under and you're thinking about maybe playing around par golf, that might be enough, or is it are you going to have to go lower to win this thing?
Well, I think they're going to have to go on a little bit lower. However, it will be fun for me just to see how the PGA of America sets up their major championship weekend. And I'm always pulling for better scores, the players to enjoy it more. Typically, we don't see that much in the majors. But I was watching where they had the tees today, and they have plenty of space to move them on back, and the flags, although there were a number of flags difficult, there were a number of them very accessible, fairly easy as Quail goes.
Mm-hmm.
So, if trends continue, it could end up being 12, 11, 12, 13, 14 under. My hopes are they let it go. And if that's the case, it's playing soft. And it could go deeper than that. If the officials decide, though, it's tough enough around here. They could easily keep that number as the standard. So it might not get to double digits at all for those.
Did you follow a particular golfer or a particular group, or just walk the course?
I walked the course the first few days. Today I ended up watching kind of interesting Keith Mitchell and the group that he was playing with, Bob Soward, and oh my goodness, just drew a blank. He missed the cut, the Canadian. He looks just about like Wesley, just drew a blank on, but they didn't have a very good day out there. And I ran into some friends, Mary Chandler. I was walking with my 41-week pregnant daughter, expecting her fourth, and we ran. She is 41 weeks pregnant. We walked the front 9, and her heart rate was around 115 average. We talking, so it was rather entertaining. But so we were going to watch a lot, but we ended up with one group walked with the Brown family. Claire Brown is now Keith Mitchell's new wife, and Sister Taylor and Mom Kathy Brown from Hartsville. So Keith Mitchell married into a wonderful family, and so we decided to hang out and walk with them today.
Well, he finished 72-73, so he's going to miss the cut at +3. The cut's projected at +1. And before we bring Coach on, just a couple of thoughts from you, George, about some of the locals who were playing. Well, Lucas Glover will make the weekend.
Lucas Glover looks great. I watched him some little bit today early, yesterday a bit, and practice round. He looks fantastic. And he loves this golf course. So I would not be surprised. He's going to have to catch fire like anybody. I think he was 1 under when I saw him last. I cannot recall.
71-70. He finishes at 1 under.
For the most part, I think most of our folks got beat up a little bit.
Well, Brian Campbell's going to make the cut, 73-69. He's even, but Jacob Bridgman +6. Andrew Novak is +6, playing the 18th, and Dustin Johnson's +12. So nothing on the weekend for these guys.
No, they get the weekend off. Charlotte's a pretty good place, though, to have a weekend off. I can tell you that. And I think it's awesome to have Coach Bradley. Let's don't keep him waiting.
Yeah.
Let's get him on the tee and let's hit up on it.
He's with us. Coach, welcome in. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks, guys, for having me on.
Are you guys are you still on the West Coast, or did you come back east? What are y'all doing?
No, we actually came back east. I mean, we thought about staying out there, but we've just got great practice facilities here in town, and we play a lot of golf out at Salina, and the greens out there are so good and firm, and they're actually a lot like the greens at the national championship. So I thought no better place than home to have good practice facilities and a good golf course to play. So we decided to come back here and practice for a couple days, and then we're heading back out on Monday.
George, go ahead.
Oh, I mean, I can't wait to hear more. You made it interesting, Coach. You got it done, and I knew your team was playing in really good form. Give us a little update. Tell us how it went.
Yeah, we got it done. I mean, Frankie Harris, big-time player. I mean, he kind of carried us. Those final 2 rounds he played out there were spectacular. Thought he was going to have a chance to win, and the player from Utah made a couple late birdies and nipped him by a shot. But he played outstanding. Nathan Franks, as you guys know, played and made the cut in the tour event, and got him to the airport just in the nick of time in Myrtle Beach, and he flew out and landed at about 11 o'clock out in Seattle, and by the time he got back to the hotel, it was about 12:30, and he got a little bit of rest, and then right back out there on Monday morning to tee it up. So that was interesting, but he, I think he played solid, not like, I think he would have played a little better if he was a little more prepared probably, seeing the golf course and all that. We had Coach Greger walked with him out there since he didn't get to play a practice round. He shot 2 over, 1 over, 1 under. So still pretty solid golf. I mean, the golf course out there was spectacular. The greens were really hard and fast, had some rough. I mean, it played a little bit like, if they had a little more rough, it would have played kind of like a U.S. Open out there. So it was a great experience for our guys. And like you said, it was a lot closer than we wanted it to be. But
about a foot.
We all start from scratch now. So
wasn't it about a foot or something on the?
I think it was a little less than a foot, actually.
Yeah, explain for those who really haven't followed it and don't know what we're talking about.
So Utah essentially had 5 holes left, meaning their number 1 player had to play 3 holes and their number 2 player had to play 2 holes. And their other 3 guys were already done, and they had to make 4 birdies to tie us of those 5 holes. And they made 2 birdies with their last player playing 18, so now he had to make eagle to tie us. It was a drivable par 4. He did not have a coach with him back on the tee, and he was also tied for the lead in the tournament too. So he decided, he hit iron off the tee. I'm not really sure. I think if that's one of our players, I'm telling him to send driver. I think that's the best chance of making eagle there. But he hit iron off the tee, and then he hit a pretty unbelievable wedge, and it landed just short of the hole and went right by the hole, and then it spun back and went right by the hole again and stopped about, I don't know, I'd say it was 5 or 6 inches maybe at the most from the hole when it finished.
Wow.
But it had 2 chances. It had a chance to go in on the way by and a chance to go in on the way back. So it was a pretty amazing shot under those circumstances. So it had us holding our breath, that's for sure.
George?
Coach, I had the chance, and it was absolutely gorgeous now 15 years ago to play there. It was Gold Mountain, is that right?
Yep, that's correct.
And talk just a little bit. Let us... over here on the East Coast, talk a little bit about the difference between what you all were playing on and what we find here on the East Coast, especially in the Parklands.
Yeah, I mean, the main difference is the grass. Obviously, you're playing on bent grass. It was really, haven't had a lot of rain out there this time of year. It was extremely firm around the greens. The greens were, you could hear your feet walking on them. They were brick hard, and it was really penalizing around the greens. If you didn't hit the ball on the right side of the hole, it was very, very challenging to make par. So, the main difference though being, heck, the weather in the morning when the lows were around 45 and the highs were around 60, and we saw a little bit of everything. We saw some rain, we saw some overcast, and a little bit of sun, but the sun was definitely rare for those 3 days. But so it was a lot chillier.
Yeah, and the backdrops and the vegetation, the trees.
Amazing. Beautiful place.
And so you adjusted well, and you mentioned that back here was a pretty good prep. Where's your next step? When do you leave? Talk a little bit about your next golf course.
Yeah, so we leave on Monday to head out to La Costa, where the ladies are competing right now, and we're leaving on Monday. We're going to head out there to fly in direct into San Diego, and we're going to play kind of a fun round of golf at Palma Valley out there on Tuesday, and Wednesday we're going to have a little bit of a rest and relax day. We're going to bring the boys over to the Titleist facility out there, and then Thursday is the practice round at La Costa. I was there with the Purdue team. It was kind of a golf course that was really designed to host the national championship. I think the goal is for it to kind of be the Omaha of baseball. to host it there, from what I know, at least the next 10 years or so. And it's a great setup. All the rooms are on site, so all the teams stay on site. And 16, 17, and 18, you can watch all from the clubhouse. It's a pretty cool place to have the NCAA championship, and the golf course can play pretty hard. It's also really firm greens and a little bit of trouble if you get off the beaten path on the golf course. So there's some fescue and different areas of high grass that it's pretty thick.
Coach, let me ask you, if I may, George, just want to ask you this real quick, Coach. Based on what the women are doing out there right now and an update on the USC women, they are now 22nd. They're 9 over par. They're playing holes 15 through 18. The leader is Vanderbilt at 6 under, and they went out in the early wave, and now Oregon has moved up. They're in the afternoon wave. They're at 4 under. Oklahoma State went out early, 4 under. My question is, as far as you know, is there a major difference in how you might play based on your tee times, morning wave versus afternoon wave? The conditions out there, do they change dramatically one way or the other?
Yeah, they do. The golf course gets pretty baked out in the afternoon out there. It definitely plays a lot harder in the afternoon than it does in the morning. I'm sure not exactly where Coach Anderson, how she wanted to get started in this thing, but they have a ton of firepower. They have a great team. They can easily battle back from this tomorrow morning with a good solid round.
Mm-hmm.
You've actually got 4 rounds until match play. So
okay,
so
4 rounds. Okay.
4 rounds. Yeah, they have a cut after 3 rounds. They cut to 15 teams, and then they cut to 8 teams after 4 rounds. So they've got a chance to battle back. And I mean, heck, they have one of the most talented teams in the country for sure. So it wouldn't surprise me at all for them to go out tomorrow morning and have one of the best rounds of the day.
George?
Well, the format being 4 rounds of stroke play, then it gets into match play. Talk a little bit about how your team sets up for this just crazy long marathon of a competitive golf format.
Yeah, it is. It's so much fun, though. I think you get out there, you're playing in the national championship. There's a lot of adrenaline, excitement to be out there. We have a really competitive team. I mean, we're if you look at the kind of where everybody's ranked and seeded, we're kind of the 15th seed essentially out of the 30 teams that are out there. But we, one thing I love about our team is when we get it going, we make a lot of birdies. And I think at any given time, these guys can go out and compete with anybody. So I'm excited to get out there and see what we can do. We've got our top players are as good as anybody. I feel like when they're playing good. So it's going to be fun. Match play. Once you get to match play, anything can really happen at that point. So that's obviously the goal is getting there first, and then go, and hopefully we can surprise some teams. We talked just briefly about this. It's something that you almost you keep it behind and you don't like to bring it up, but just like getting to the national championship, getting out of the regionals is more difficult than people have any idea. And now just getting to the match play, it's not as easy as people might think. In fact, it's incredibly difficult to end up in the top. We have.
Take it away.
I feel like we have a lot of experience with that because, going to the SEC championship, I mean, the SEC, I think maybe we have 10 or 11 teams that are at the national championship, and the format is pretty similar at the SEC championship where you got to be in the top 8 after 54 rounds. We fell 2 shots short of that at SEC's, but I feel like we learned a lot from it. So we're going to have, not a lot of teams are going in there that have been on the bubble to make match play like we were. We're going to be able to draw from that. And then it's kind of a similar deal. But getting through that regional, like you just talked about, I mean, one of the things we didn't finish very good in that third round, and it is a lot of pressure. There's Nathan Franks is a senior that's never played in the national championship. We have, a couple juniors that have never played in the national championship. They wanted it bad, and I'm sure they were, judging by some of the shots that we hit coming in, I know they were feeling it. And, it's just something that I talked to them about after the round. I remember back when I was in college at North Carolina, and I mean, I've played in the final stage of Q School 6 times and a couple majors, and I never felt in any of those events, I never felt the pressure that I felt playing in regionals, where, all of my teammates were relying on me, and that's about as pressure packed as you can get in golf, because everybody wants to get out to that natty so bad. And there's just a lot on the line playing for your school and your teammates. And so us battling through that was big. Us having the experience to draw off the SEC championship, that was big. So I feel like, these guys as players have grown up a lot this year and have a lot of experience to learn from.
Well, it's very special to have watched you all, and also the women, the Gamecock women, play and practice. It's been a lot of years, close to 15 years since I've seen much, and I'm really impressed. It'll be a lot of fun, and I think, the way it's set up, you should get some coverage. You guys are playing great, and Coach, what a privilege. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Yeah,
Phil, I'm going to kick it over to you, and if you got any more questions, I'll let you take it from here.
No, we'll wish you guys well. You enjoy the weekend in Charlotte. And, Coach, we thank you. Have a great trip back to the West Coast, and we'll see how the timing works out. If it works out, maybe we'll hit you back up next Friday night if you're available.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Thank you so much. George, thank you.
Thanks, guys. Always fun to be on with you.
You too, Coach. Thank you. And, George,
Okay,
you want to sign yourself out, George?
Oh yeah. This is easy. It's supper time here in Charlotte. Until next week, tee 'em high, shoot 'em low. Enjoy the weekend.
You too, buddy. Enjoy the golf there at the PGA. A great place to be. And thanks to Coach for being with us. We appreciate that. Update a couple of things, Bergie. South Carolina's given up a couple of home runs. They trail 3-0.
Yeah, that pitching has started to foil them today, but they got through the first 2 innings. We'll see what happens now, as they've got a runner at second and nobody out in the bottom of the third. See if they can battle back the way they had to last night. They came back from a 2-run home run in the first last night, so they've done it, and they've just scored. So
they
here
have
we go.
just scored. Let's see. They got Scobie. He doubled. He's having himself a good series.
Yes, he is.
Double to left, and Braylon just singled to center, so the Gamecocks are on the board. Nobody out. Runner on first in the bottom of the third, trailing 3-1. What else is out there that we need to – did we wrap up the softball or –
They are in the 7th over in Columbia at Beckham Field. Gamecocks trying to close out Elon. They're up 5-2. Clemson's already won. Coastal lost to Georgia earlier today. Clemson beat USC upstate. So
okay,
that rounds out our teams.
All right, other baseball, Charleston Southern 19-4 over Gardner-Webb. That's a final. Virginia Tech, middle of the 5th. They're 4-4. Stanford, NC State 2-2, bottom of the 6th. High Point and Winthrop. Winthrop leading 10-4. Top of the 6th. Duke 11-4 over Georgia Tech. And Duke's going to be at home for the ACC tournament. They're going to be a tough out.
Yes, they are.
They've
got
playing.
a nice team.
Mm-hmm.
And South Carolina has just won over Elon. So
okay,
that wraps up the softball today.
All right, Texas A&M is leading Georgia 3-0 in the top of the 7th in Athens.
Of course.
Alabama and Florida 2-2. Top of the 5th, Notre Dame and Miami. Miami 10-0 on Notre Dame in the 2nd. A 4-run first, a 6-run second. Vanderbilt 5-3 on make that 5-5 now with Kentucky. 5-5 top of the 6th. Ole Miss leading Auburn 4-2 bottom of the 3rd. Mississippi State 8-0 on Missouri bottom of the 3rd. Texas Oklahoma scoreless top of the 2nd. Tennessee 1-0 on Arkansas top of the 2nd. And the Yankees have taken a 2-0 lead on the Mets. Oh, what a great start to a great evening for some of us. Bergie, have a great weekend.
Thank you. You do the same. Josh, you do the same. We'll see you guys Monday.
Have a great weekend, Josh. Have a great weekend, everybody. See you on Monday.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, and fireplaces.